we are human, we are animals, we crave the ability to be we. I know it's called me undies. We undies might have sounded differently.
Is it a disco now?
Yeah, it's the after party, so it's now we go with the flash.
My goal in life is to be a laptop sticker.
Me too.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.
It's a great honor, Mr. Jaffe. It's always nice to be with you.
I'm so happy to be with you. I'm honored.
Thanks for doing this, too. It's a real service to the community.
Thank you for doing this, Joseph, for doing CoronaTV in general. And it's your gift to the universe, and it's appreciated.
Very human, and I like that.
Look at you! You are insane!
How did I do that?
You're insane!
Truer words have never been spoken. I am insane, and I love being insane. And I'm so excited to be talking to Jessica Joynes today because I think I might be getting free therapy, which is awesome. Maybe she's going to send me an invoice. I hope not. But I could see she's smiling in the background, which means I'm definitely getting invoice. Happy. No, I was going to say happy Monday. It's not Monday. It's Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Yeah, happy Tuesday. It is not Memorial Day anymore. It is the day after Memorial Day. Although, quite frankly, this is the world we're living in. Every day is Memorial Day. Every day we are remembering or trying not to forget. I think we should say that. I think that's pretty important. It is also, National Paper Airplane Day. So for those of you that have paper airplanes or have ever thought of making one, today is your day. So we're celebrating you, and we're also celebrating National Blueberry Cheesecake Day. Yum. So I guess that's the perfect thing to have after, Memorial Day and the barbecue. This was my Memorial Day. Did a poll on LinkedIn asking people what they'd be doing on the day, and I was barbecuing in quarantine. No friends were over. And I went for a run. There's this beautiful little path you can see on the bottom, and I don't know who does it, but clearly a family. They go and draw all these beautiful, uplifting, motivational little diagrams with chalk, and I always take a photo of them. And I cooked. That was my barbecue, or as we say in South Africa, my braai. There was even a little bit of beyond. There was meat, and then there was meatless as well. It was pretty yummy. I'm not going to lie. It was a great weekend for me because I had the pleasure of sitting down and talking with Mark Bomback, who he wrote, and he produced Defending Jacob, which is on Apple TV+. The finale is going to be this Friday, so you have time to catch up and binge your way to the finale. But it was just an amazing conversation to just get that insider track and understand. I mean, we spoke about the importance of casting, but we also spoke about things like storytelling and the importance of storytelling, and actually why and how now more than ever, actually having appointment viewing and having a new episode releasing or dropping on a weekly basis is better than the Netflix model, specifically because we're at home and we're looking for that incentive. We're looking for the ability to look forward to something rather than just have it all given to us and fall into our lap in one fell swoop. And then I also tested my first pre-recorded show. I actually sat down with two college kids, Max and Mel, freshman and a sophomore. They're in the same a cappella group at Vanderbilt University. They put a beautiful song together and they performed part of that. And then it was just an interesting way for me to say, well, what happens when we get back into the real world, whatever that looks like, and I'm traveling and I can't commit to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday, and then, of course, on Sundays as well. So if you have the inclination and the time, go back and check out Sunday's interview with Mark Bomback, Monday's pre-recorded interview with Max and Mel, and I certainly hope you enjoy it. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be sitting down. I'm going to be sitting down shortly with Jessica Joynes, and what's really nice about the show now is that trying to figure out the right place and the right style for the Zoom after show. So in a way, it's like a mini masterclass. And so today, Jessica is going to be giving her little mini masterclass. She's going to be sharing 3 simple steps to taking, the insights and ahas that you've been experiencing in your life, and certainly during the coronavirus, and turning them into reality. Very consistent with her whole message, this idea of discovering your soul purpose, soul as in S-O-U-L, as opposed to soul, S-O-L-E, which is a fish, right? So she's going to be sharing that with us, and I'm really looking forward to that as well. Just a few hellos. Joey, you're in the monologue today, so I hope you enjoy it. You may not, but hopefully you will. Hello to Jason Siv, and Ritesh Patel out of nowhere. He's always posting photos of his creations, his food creations. So maybe I should be as well. And hello, Bob. He liked that quote. Thank you for doing this. It's your gift to the universe. What beautiful words from David Meerman Scott. I definitely appreciated that a lot. Now, I just want to also spend a moment as well to talk about another guest. So Scott Monty was on the show, as you remember, as you recall, several weeks ago, maybe a month or 2 ago. And out of the blue, he sent me, I think, a text or an email, and he said, "What's your address?" I thought, okay, maybe he's sending me an invoice for his appearance. And I said, and I gave him my address. He had sent something to the old address. And so, well, he said that would explain why I haven't heard from you, or etc., that I got the wrong address. Anyway, long story short, this arrived in the mail. It's a handwritten note, and I wanted to read that to you. Dear Joe, what a treat it was to catch up with you on video. I really enjoyed our chat and was thrilled to be part of your impressive lineup. I hope this continues to go well for you. Please stay in touch and let me know if I can help in any way. Cheers, Scott. Now, I've got to just tell you, in one word, classy. Wow, that was classy. It was old school, it was classic, it was classy, and it means a lot to me. Scott, thank you so much for doing that. What a mensch. And, more people should be doing this. More people should be doing this. It's about as simple as that, guys. It's something that I need to do as well. Every time I'm on a podcast, I also need to be thinking about sending a thank you, whether it's email, whether it's handwritten, etc. This is what we've got to do. Keep it classy, just like Scott Monty is doing as well. So one more thing just to share with you. My buddy Nick Johnson posted this today on Facebook. He said, I've got a very close friend who is in need of some positive vibes. If you can spare 30 seconds, please push some good energy out on their behalf. Thanks in advance. And I went ahead and I not only did I comment, I said I would give this friend a shout out. So Nick and your friend, we hope that no matter what is going on in their lives, no matter how they are ailing, we hope that all of this positive energy and all of these good vibes find their way back to your friend and help them get better soon, whether it is physical, whether it is mental, or whether it's a little bit of both. Speaking of sending out greetings into the world, we had obviously 2 days where I didn't have the show live. So I want to send some birthday greetings for yesterday for my friends on Facebook. Today, my friends on Facebook, including Nick Fries, happy birthday, Nick. And there is Nick with his beautiful family. And likewise, my friends on LinkedIn and my contacts on LinkedIn, happy birthday for yesterday and for today. Too many people to mention, but that also, shows you and goes to show you that there are so many people out there right now that are, that might be in need of a boost. And that's why I created CoronaTV, and that's why we get to spend this time together. So I debuted my seated soliloquy, which is, I think, a phrase that Jan Zlotnick created. I don't know whether he called it seated monologue or seated soliloquy. I debuted that on the Sunday show. I am going to do the seated soliloquy for you today. And I even have something, let me see if I can find it for you. It is a banner. So there we go. It's a little banner as well, a new banner that wanted to debut as I give you my soliloquy. So I hope you like it. This soliloquy is about embracing and respecting the silence. The other day, I had a call from out of the blue from a man I consider to be a mentor. He's a prominent New Yorker investor and decent human being. He was calling to compliment me on CoronaTV, and to quote him, "Anyone can interview, but not everyone can understand. You, Joe, understand." Now, in between his words of advice, he actually said the words pause and long pause, as in, anyone can interview, but not everyone can understand. Pause. You, Joe, understand. Long pause. And then he continued. It reminded me of a conversation I had with friend, Zoom after show regular and previous guest, Joey Dumont. Joey is so excited about his upcoming book, Dirty Words, The Diary of a Recovering Douchebag, that he tends to talk a lot about it. I've been coaching him to slow down and pause from time to time. But who am I to give him this advice? Because it takes one to know one. I suffer from verbal diarrhea. I talk too much. I tend to talk so much that I feel I often unsell myself. I think it stems from insecurity, that I'm not good enough. I'm trying to prove how smart I am, not because I'm full of myself, self-important, self-inflated, self-absorbed and the like, but because I just want to show that I have worth and value, and I'm adding value. I need to stop. I need to slow down. I need to pause. I need to respect and embrace the silence. Just like that. Long pause. And that, my friends, is the seated soliloquy. And I hope you like it. And I hope to continue it with you. Today was all about embracing the silence. But we're not going to embrace the silence anymore. We're now going to welcome my host, Jessica Joins. Now, let me tell you, after spending nearly 18 years on the corporate side, most notably the CMO, the global CMO of Rakuten, Jessica was determined to no longer allow fear to rule her life. So she bravely stepped into the unknown to honor her soul's calling. And now she helps women do the same, and she's going to help you do the same. Please welcome Jessica Joins. Welcome, Jessica.
Hello, I'm happy to be here. I love what you were just saying about silence as well.
So now that's my cue to embrace the silence.
I love Joey Dumont, mutual friend.
Yeah, well, you're going to see him in the Zoom after show.
Awesome.
I got to see in his comments if he liked being singled out. Yeah, he can handle it.
Of course he can. Of course he can.
You see, Joey and I are brothers from another mother. So Jessica, welcome to the show. And
thank you.
You know, we found each other serendipitously. I saw you. I think you commented on something on LinkedIn, and I was like, I need to know this person. And I think I just said, hey, come on my show. And you're like, okay. And then I'm like, let me find out more about who she is. I mean, it shows you the power of a LinkedIn profile, right? Best-selling author. And I was just looking at those headlines, and I was like, this is pretty impressive. I need to have her on. Then I'm like, wait a second. She was the CMO of Rakuten? You know, did she know Lionel Messi personally? I don't know.
No, the deal was done right at the time I was leaving. So I didn't get to benefit from that, unfortunately.
Well, that's why you left. You're like, if I can't meet, you know, the bearded maestro.
Of course.
So Jessica, let's go back to that, because, you know, I am a marketer. So many people that know me are marketers as well. We all aspire to be the global CMO of a growing brand, of a global brand. But you chose to take a different path. And so I would love for you to tell us your story from the pinnacle or the peak, and maybe it wasn't a peak, maybe it was the exact opposite that pushed and pulled your way to make this change.
Yeah, well, here it goes to show you that you can be successful at something that you don't even truly love. For me, really, the pinnacle was a few years back before Rakuten. It was 2011. I'd spent all of my career up until then on the agency side, and I was miserable. I was living in a perpetual state of what I call survival consciousness. You know, I viewed like the world was something happening to me that I just needed to survive. I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled in any way, shape, or form. And I had the gift of being laid off. And at that time, I was suffering mentally, emotionally, physically, health-wise, all fronts. And for the first time, really, in my adult life, I decided to honor what my heart was calling me to do. And my heart was telling me to take a year off and travel. And I did. And everyone around me thought I was crazy. I was really senior at that time. I was running marketing and sales for a prominent agency, but I did it. And that was really the beginning of my journey to what I now call soul purpose. I didn't have the vocabulary for soul purpose at the time. My only desire at that time was, I want to get paid to be happy rather than paid to suffer. I felt like my life was just constantly being paid to suffer and be miserable and doing something that waking up in fear, going to a job I dreaded. And I just kept thinking, a voice inside me kept saying, this can't be life. This can't be life. And so I had to go through a period of what I'll call elimination to rediscover my truth. And so that took shape of, taking other jobs that didn't serve me, finally getting me up to Rakuten, which was the most wonderful company to work for. It didn't have any of like the corporate, toxic kind of politics that you have going on in so many other places. It treated people great. It felt like a family environment. And that's when I had my aha moment. I go, oh, I actually don't care. I'm not passionate about marketing. I built this whole career around something about an idea in my head rather than truly listening to my heart. And here I was like 40 at the time going, whoa, it was such an awakening moment. And in that moment, when I finally had this realization, I knew that my soul was calling me to something deeper, and I had to leap into exploring that journey. And it's been unfolding ever since.
You said something that I thought was fantastic, this sound bite, which I need now because now I've created what I call Corona Bites, which is one quote in video that I can put on Instagram that then drives the Corona clip, which then drives the Corona TV, which then drives the Corona radio. And I got that sound bite from you, and it's I didn't want to be paid to suffer. I think you said something, paid to suffer.
That was my big dream for myself.
What a fantastic thought. And how many people out there right now are paid to suffer?
Yeah.
Too many.
Well, if you look at Gallup or the people that even track engagement, right? Like how many employees are engaged, which isn't even like, oh, I love it, purpose. It's like whether I'm engaged, depending on the year and how you look at the stat. It's like what, 20% of the 20% of the workforce is engaged, semi-engaged, not loving it, not waking up excited every day. And it took me a long time to realize that, our true destiny is to be happy in what we're doing. It's not just to have a job. It's not just to earn. It's to really quiet this and allow this and your heart to guide you. That's what took me a long, long time to quote unquote figure out.
And now more than ever, I like say those words and I'm like, oh, it's like sounds like a cringy brand commercial. Now more than ever, during these unprecedented times, you should find your soul purpose. And I was like, sorry, I was like apologizing for saying, but now more than ever, but it's true. Now more than ever, we take stock and we realize how unhappy and miserable we might have been in what we were doing. And what I've been telling people is, that's okay. Just don't make the same mistake again. Don't go back to it, or figure out a way to inject that happiness in your life.
Yeah. Well, I come from the philosophy and belief, and this is not, this is a switch for me. This is a switch in perception for me. This is a shift in how I perceive the world. But I always believe that everything in my life and collectively as well is happening for us, not to us. And I truly believe, and I'm seeing it being reflected in so many of my clients right now, that the higher purpose really of this moment is to really show, like in a stark kind of contrast, like what hasn't been working. And that's happening on the collective level. You see it in different paradigms, but it's all happening individually for us. Lots of women I work with are saying, I don't want to give up this time with my kids. I don't want to choose anymore. I don't want to be in an office 5 days a week. I don't want to be in this prison. I'm not connected to my heart's calling. And again, I define soul purpose as staying in alignment with that moment to moment resonance of your heart and just following that journey and that pathway wherever it leads. So it's less about like on what you're going to do and the destination of that, but being connected into that space and like trusting in the guidance and the way that unfolds. And so I know we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but now really is the time. Ego, the voice of fear in our head that'll present itself as the voice of reason, will say, no, it's not the time to make a change. It's survival. It's survival. It's going to have all these opinions about why it's not safe to make changes right now. And I believe the opposite is true. I believe that is actually the purpose of the moment.
You spoke earlier about being laid off, and in the entrepreneurial world, you show me one entrepreneur that hasn't failed or been rejected or been told no 1,000 times, and that'd be a charlatan, because every entrepreneur has gone through that, and we entrepreneurs, we know that and we feel it. It seems it's so interesting because the world needs that push sometimes. I feel like the world has been pushed, but sometimes we can't make that change voluntarily or willingly. We need to be pushed, and that's why being let go is truly that, right? We're being let go, we're being freed, we're being released to achieve or pursue our soul purpose, I think.
Yeah. I lead a retreat for the C-suite women. It's called the Women's Purpose Retreat. And we had an incredible speaker this last year named Sherry Salata. She's the former president of OWN, Oprah Winfrey Network. And she wrote a book called The Beautiful No. And at first you think, oh, it's for women, it's about setting boundaries. And it was how all the no's in her life actually led her to stepping into like her highest potential, her highest calling. And I think that's true. I think sometimes, the universe does for you what you can't do for yourself, to gently push you back into alignment with your highest potential.
I mean, what the person I'm looking at right now is a pro, a seasoned professional. She's high energy, she's engaging, she's gregarious, she's charismatic, but it's the joy in what you do. It's that love, and it is, your soul is energized. I'd love you to talk about how, from that moment where you decided I'm not going back into that corporate world, how you got to present day, where you have your own show, where you've written a book, where you're leading retreats. I'm assuming you didn't have it all figured out on day one.
No. And so the journey, even though, it started back in that 2011, it really was a decade-long journey. And the journey, like I'll save everyone the time of what it was to stop trying to figure it out. Like soul purpose, I'm not going to think my way into this. And now I am by nature a highly analytical person, highly analytical. Like that is my deal. So for me to let go of this idea that I wasn't going to have some master plan, that I wasn't going to think my way into it, that I was going to stop leading from here. I'm going to still use this, but I'm going to start leading from my heart and letting this follow, was the big shift. And I say, like, I did the career assessments. I did the, trying the magic kind of formula to figure out my purpose. And every time I'm doing that, I'm letting my ego, voice of fear in my head that presents itself as the voice of reason, get in the way. And when I listen to and follow my ego, I am never going to step into my true happiness. I'm only going to step into my true happiness through listening to my heart, which is what I'll call it your higher self, because it has the answers. So to answer your question, it was a leap of faith. I had no idea how it was going to unfold when I left Rakuten. I just knew I had to leap. I knew I couldn't do it anymore. And I was going to step in and try to start following this and see where it let it unfold. I did not even imagine this for myself. If I had like allowed it just to be my plan, what is happening right now for me would not be happening by any way, shape, or form.
So you speak about this idea. It's funny because I don't know where the soul lives. I don't think the soul lives here. I think the soul is more likely here, all around us. But it's an interesting juxtaposition about your spiritual journey and being true to that soul, and then the brain that tends to try and rationalize and think and overthink. And, I said at the beginning that I hope I'm not getting an invoice, because for me, this is therapy. This is beautiful catharsis, because here I am into month 2 or 3 of this little experiment called CoronaTV, and I'm trying to do exactly what you are advocating, not to overthink, not to be so down on myself. At the beginning of the show today, I don't know if you saw, but my head was a little holy because a little bit of green screen malfunctioning. I'm still experimenting with the light. I'm trying not to take it too seriously, and I'm also trying not to have to be so hard and demanding on myself in terms of what's the numbers and is it growing and what if my guest didn't like me, and it's a beautiful state of Zen, which is to actually just focus on the purity of the message, and even that one person out there that will send a text and say thank you, or Joey saying to you, so happy to see you on the show, or via LinkedIn, just inspiring one person about positivity.
Yeah.
So thank you for allowing me. I guess I'm on the right track.
You are. And the other thing that I learned, and now this might feel a little bit out there, but I'll say, like, the lesson, what you're going through, what I'm going through, that's the lesson we're all here to learn. I would say, like, the lesson we're all here to learn in Earth School, right, is how to quiet this. It's really how to transmute the ego, how to rise above the voice of fear in your head that I always say that presents itself as the voice of reason. You follow that, you'll lead to a smaller version of your life. But if you can quiet that and listen to your heart, you'll step into the most expanded possibility for your life. And so your new metrics, if I can give you some advice, are just staying. If you're in resonance, you're in alignment. If you're feeling excited, now if you start feeling a lack of resonance, you start feeling like a heavy weight, it starts not feeling good, then you just need to reorient and reshift and get back on that path of resonance. That's the key.
And for me, what has really helped through this process is my community. People like Joey and Bob and Jan and our little after. It's an after show, but it's really like an after party. And it's funny, Jessica, because I've tried to train myself to always start with something positive. It's amazing. You probably experienced this being on the agency side and the brand side. The first thing out of someone's mouth is always, my concerns are, why would you, the first thing out of your mouth be all the things you don't like about it, all the things that are wrong with it? Why not actually start off by celebrating what's right about it and then finding your way towards how it can be better?
Well, that's our greatest muscle to exercise, as your greatest ability is to choose your perception. That you to remember that you have a choice in your perception and to exercise it. As you master your perception, you master your reality. So choosing to focus on what is rather than what isn't, right? On a personal level, your whole reality will shift if you can practice that every day. And I will say, like, on the collective environment and how we, function as companies and where we put our focus, it's the same principle ultimately.
So Julie just said, these are very positive and inspiring conversations, makes me feel better about these stressful times we're in. Great guests. Well, you know what? It's all about my guests. It really is. And I actually wanted to ask you a question that actually builds on, oh, look, there's someone else probably that you know.
One of my BFFs, yeah.
Mr. Sean Finnegan. I love the fact that Sean is watching. But I wanted to follow on with what Julie was saying, Jessica, which is, are you encountering people are, because it's a little counterintuitive, are more open and more able to let go, or in fact are doubling down on fear and insecurity? Because God knows there's a lot of stuff to make us feel debilitated and hamstrung. What are you finding from people right now? Are they kind of more scared or less scared than ever before?
Well, I'll speak about that in two ways. It does sometimes feel like we're living in two different worlds, right? And I have that sensation a lot because I I see a lot of the fear. It feels like a massive fear detox this time period, really. That's how I perceive it in many ways. But I'll say the people generally that I'm working with that are, coming my way are more on like having breakthroughs. They're at the point where they're just having a lot of realizations about what's not working. They're still feeling the fear, but they're tired enough, over it enough that they're willing and wanting to make a change. So that's what I'm seeing a lot in my immediate environment, or even new people that are coming to me. I've been running some online groups with I have a community I built for the Women's Purpose Retreat, which is women in the C-suite. And I'm really seeing a lot of women there in particular. Yeah, fears are coming up, but they're actually breaking through them. They're not being, held down or chained down by them in the way that they used to. I don't know that that's an accurate reflection of everything happening in the world. Again, the way I perceive it, it feels like sometimes we're living in two different worlds, where there's one that's still really committed to fear, really still addicted to fear, really still, wanting to do whatever they need to do with fear, and then others that are, rising above it. So we'll see.
My take on that, for what it's worth, is that we actually have to, because it would drive us mad, the manic depressiveness of the euphoria and the despair, and we have to kind of embrace both at the same time and recognize on any given day and in any given conversation you can hit that high and that low at the same time. But what struck me with what you said is that old saying, which is change happens when the pain of not changing is greater than the pain of changing.
Yeah.
And look, if you're a masochist like me, you love the pain. You have to as an entrepreneur. But I think it's also what I picked up from what you were saying is that it's the people that are ready to make the change and going through that pain that almost it's that push now. And it's maybe the extra push, right? It's COVID-19 plus being let go, plus this ability to take stock and say, you know what, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah. And what I want to say too is like fear is not the enemy, and it's not to be ignored. It's not to be repressed. There's always a message within it. Fear wants to be acknowledged. It wants to be heard. It wants to be given a voice. Right. And there's many answers to you. Fear, I say, if you can engage with fear as a teacher rather than the truth, that is where your breakthroughs will come. So what is the fear reflecting to you about you that requires healing within you? Within that is some answers, but you have to go through a process of acknowledging it, understanding it, feeling it. You have to feel to release it. So it's not to be avoided, and I never want my message to come off that way or judged, but it is to there's a lot of things we can learn from it through being with it.
Now, Jessica, your book is called Dare to Believe, 12 Lessons for Living Your Soul Purpose. You also have a show which is called Soul Purpose, right? But now I was thinking to myself, would I even be invited on the show? I don't even know if I would. And I think you can tell what I'm segueing into, which is bless you for focusing your efforts, because we can't help everybody at the same time. You've really focused on female empowerment, and it's been something that's been, maybe because I was brought up by a single parent, by my mom. It's unbelievable to me how women have been forced to make a choice. Even up until present day, do you want to be a mom? Do you want to be not just a professional, but a leader in your organization? I would love for you to talk about why you've decided to focus on female empowerment, some of the things you're doing, and what your thoughts are in terms of what still needs to happen with our sometimes backward society and professional environment that is slowing down evolution and progress in this regard.
Yeah. Well, when I was a CMO, and, two of them are on here today, I had like great mentors like Sean, I had Joey, I had so many people that were helping me and guiding me. What I found it hard, and now this is still like dating some years back, I just found it hard to build those kind of connections and deep connections, from women in senior roles that were helping and guiding me. Right. And I felt very much what you just described, having to make a choice. Right. My choice has been career to this date. And that's not true for everyone. But what I really have found and seen in so much of my work and what I feel called to help is that women many times are, forced to wear these different hats and operate these different silos. And what I'm seeing now, in particular in this time of coronavirus, is this like integrating the whole self. Right? So not having to be like this kind of persona at work and then this persona at home, but trying to find an integrated balance and, demanding whatever it is, the flexibility that requires you to pursue and do all the things that you care about and for that to be okay. So for me, I just feel called to help women because I see, women, we have this tendency to really doubt ourselves, right? We all kind of suffer from this condition of ego, but sometimes women, we just have such a strong inner critic. We haven't always had the role models there to help and support us. And so really helping women just honor who they authentically are, not, what's been demonstrated to them of who they need to be to succeed, is really where I found a lot of, magic and breakthroughs can happen.
I think it's needed now more than ever. And there's something as well. We spoke a lot today about almost these dichotomies, right? Short-term and long-term, fear and euphoria, these two worlds that we live in. And I think one thing that is happening now across the board is realizing, hey, guess what? One world, one life, one attention span, 24 hours in the day. This is me. We were joking earlier, and I said, part of the reason why, ironically, I put on a suit. Well, no pants, but jacket, tie, and shirt for the interview with the Hollywood producer, and he was there in a t-shirt. I ripped my tie off on Sunday, but this is me, and I wanted this to be me. I wanted this to be, I'm at home. This is my home office. I'm in quarantine. The beard's getting gray. Just take me as I am. And I think that's the point that comes across, which is, whether work and home separate, no, not separate, same person. You should like them personally and you should like them professionally. You should respect them personally and you should respect them professionally as well, instead of this fractured schizophrenic world we're living in. And I just hope that one of the byproducts of COVID-19 is an acceleration towards this leveling of the playing fields and this unification of our sole purpose.
Yeah. Well, collective change happens on an individual level. So that will take each person, again, I'll take women because I'm seeing it with the majority of my, corporate working, female clients right now, is that they're going, God, I've been living my life like all these different silos, like in different drawers and trying to compartmentalize this all. I'm, being this certain persona at work. For me, when I was, in agency world in New York, it was like, oh, I had to be a bitch and a hard ass to get anything done, whatever that is. And all of this is not working and it's exhausting. And I'm sick of being exhausted, to use your word, feeling, schizophrenic. But it takes each of us individually, if you're having these realizations and these revelations, to go, that is happening for a reason. It's being shown to you because there's a change possible. It's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. And so it's first like really acknowledging that and then, taking whatever steps, that take for you personally to explore and make that happen. There is a pathway.
Well, Jessica is going to help us discover and maybe take the first step on that pathway in our after show, because I'm sure there've been so many insights and ahas that we're going through. But I think what you're going to do is maybe start to show us how we can actually take them and not just, make it a pipe dream, but turn them into reality. And we're going to do that in the Zoom after show. But let me tell you, Jessica Joins is, I said at the beginning, she's a rock star, but I think more she's a superhero, because that name, Jessica Jones, I was thinking like a character from Roger Rabbit, but you said there's a Marvel character, right? Is that Captain Marvel?
I know. I don't know much about her. I'll tell you, because, I don't get carded anywhere I go. But whenever I go through, back when we were flying, I'd go through airport security, they look at your ID. And I can't tell you how many times CSA have been like, Jessica Jones, there's a Marvel or a show about you on Netflix. You're a Marvel character. I'm like, oh, really? I've never watched it. Maybe I should.
And you're like, of course I am. Well, Jessica, we're going to talk a little bit of advice in the Zoom room afterwards. But I just would love you always to, and my guests always to have the final word? Where can people find you? What are you excited about right now? And anything you want people to know.
Yeah, you can find me at jessicajoins.com, and on there, there's access to my show. It's once a month on the United Intentions online TV network. The next show is on June 15th. And I'm also switching up the format on the show a little bit right now. I'm actually inviting guests on to come, brave souls, to have some live coaching. So if that sounds exciting to you, you can be a man or a woman. I'd love to have you on, and you can just reach me out. Yeah, I've got a spot for you. I've got a
Raise his hand. I don't know that I can be helped, but
of course you can. I'm
prepared to try.
Yeah,
well, Jessica, thank you so much for coming in. I'm so grateful for the serendipity that brought us together, and I'll see you in the Zoom room in a moment.
See you soon.
Well, that was Jessica Joins, the superhero, and tomorrow Corona TV will become Corona Cocktails, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Dave Delaney. Dave is a great guy. We've known each other for a long, long time. So we will catch up live. And, Dave, I'm sure we'll talk about some of the things he's doing. One of the things that resonated with me last time is how he's using stand-up comedy to actually create workshops for companies, and why stand-up comedy is so important, and the role and the benefits of incorporating that skill into your professional lives. So that's it from me today. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you in the Zoom room or otherwise tomorrow. Take care and be safe. Bye-bye.